Yes.
I guess that goes with the question that I have, because a lot of people that I talk to don't see much difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. We just say they're all liberals. And what are you going to do to prove to the average conservative that we can trust what you're going to do the right thing instead of just another liberal panderer to the hate American people crowd that seems to be the ones that are making our laws nowadays?
Thank you. I think people should examine my record as well as my positions on the issues. And I think there are stark differences. And one of the reasons why I'd like to have town hall meetings with Senator Obama is so that you could ask that question with us standing by side and say, what are your principles? What is it that you believe in is important for the future of this nation? And I'd love to see that. But there are stark differences. I'm for lower taxes. Senator Obama is for raising your taxes. I'm for the family making the decisions on health care. He wants the government to do that. We obviously are very different on our national security policies. He wants to sit down without precondition, he said, with Ahmadinejad, a guy that says he's going to wipe Israel off the map. The people, same country that's exporting the most lethal IEDs into Iraq and killing young Americans. So there are stark differences, and this campaign will draw them out. And I just want to tell you that it's important that you examine people's records, and I hope you'll examine mine. But I also think it's important, and most important to Americans, is to draw a clear future and a plan of action to address health care, to address the home ownership issue, to address inflation, to address the economic problems that we have today, the rising unemployment, and these other issues. Americans want to be inspired. And Americans, I believe, right now, if you look at, and again, I don't like to quote polls all the time, but there's polls that show that 81% of the American people think the country's on the wrong track. That's not good. We can put this country on the right track again and restore that trust and confidence. And I want to assure you that my record and my principles are closely aligned with those of one Ronald Reagan, who came to the presidency when our nation was in trouble in 1981 when he was sworn in. And I believe that he is a good role model. And the other thing I think is the American people want some straight talk. I went around this country telling people what they didn't want to hear, but I also told them what they wanted to hear, but also what they didn't want to hear. And I think the American people want that, and they don't want us to change on our positions. Could I ask the young person here from One, did you have anything to add to my commercial?
My name's Kelly Weindean. I'm a One campaign volunteer, and you pretty much said what we stand for. We're nonpartisan, and there's over 2.4 million members and 39,000 Minnesotans that are with us. And it's just an education and awareness campaign to educate people about the poverty going on around the world, especially in the continent of Africa. And I actually really had a question for you as well.
Yeah, but could I ask,
yeah.
Then how did you know about the organization?
Well, I've been a part of it for 3 years now, and I'm an intern this summer for them. And I originally heard about it just over the internet through
Over
Bono.
the internet?
Yeah. And
Good.
From Bono, I guess.
From Bono.
Yeah.
What a guy. All right, your question is?
Yeah, well, first I just wanted to thank you for going on the record with the One campaign and for your continued support in the fight against poverty. And in the past decade, the world economy has grown, yet so many countries in Africa are still struggling with massive amounts of disease and no economic growth at all, if any. And I just wanted to know what you or your administration has planned to bring Africa and the countries in Africa into the world economy.
Thank you. One thing I think is important is obvious that we need to continue to fund programs to combat HIV/AIDS. And I think we should give this administration some credit and the President, Laura Bush, for that. If you're ever out in California for any reason, maybe you should stop by Google and if you go into the lobby of Google, you'll see a globe, large globe that's rotating, and there are lights emanating from different parts of this globe as it rotates. And you'll see a whole lot of lights, and those lights may be less if it's nighttime, but it's basically what Google likes to describe as people who are on the internet and Googling. And it's remarkable, and it's all over the world until the globe turns and you see the continent of Africa, and then it's almost black because of those nations have been left behind. We've got to do everything that we can, but I also have to tell you that there are governments in Africa, including the one in Zimbabwe today, where they've just basically negated election. They've had the same guy running the country for Mugabe for, I forgot, I think it's 38 years, as I recall. I've forgotten. It's some inordinate length of time. They've not had a free election. His opponent won that election by any observers, and he is basically negating that election. Governments matter. Governments matter in the state of Minnesota. Governments matter in Africa. Governments matter. And one of the things I admire about the Gates Foundation is that they go to these countries and they not only say, we'll give you this money, but you've got to have policies and programs within your countries that will allow this funding to be ineffective. Too often and too long, American taxpayers' dollars ended up in Swiss bank accounts. So we not only have to address these challenges, and thank God for you and the other members of ONE that are doing it. And by the way, but we also have to make sure that these governments change policies so that our assistance can be effective and not corrupted by corrupt governments. So my answer to you is, I will do whatever we can to help the continent of Africa and other parts of the world that still have not achieved anywhere near the level. In fact, some places in Africa, as we know, the basics have been declining. But I'll do everything I can to help. But also, at another level, we will try and have governments that are basically respond to the people and give them a chance to realize their hopes and dreams and aspirations. I thank you. And I would be remiss if I did not mention another organization that is here. My apologies ahead of time. AARP sponsors an organization called Divided We Fall, which is dedicated to the proposition that we provide affordable and available health care to every American. Thank you, and would you stand so that we can thank you for your efforts. Thank you very much. And I almost got in deep trouble with the AARP, which is something I try to avoid. So thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Senator McCain, thank you for coming. I'm a naturalized citizen. I've been in this country for 30 years. And until Governor Pawlenty came along, I was the only black-haired guy in an ocean of blondes. I have a simple question. You have a tremendous resume for being the President of the United States. Your track record, your bipartisanship, your Army service or veteran service, they're all extraordinary and outstanding. How do you expect to take on the long-term issues of this country, such as balancing the budget, stem cells research for helping cut down the costs of healthcare and helping people who are suffering from these diseases, the lack of engineering and scientific talent in the country to fill the jobs? About 1.4 million jobs are begging to be filled in the advanced sciences and technology, which spur innovation, creativity, and jobs, and another internet revolution and things like that. So the long-term issues of the nation, are you prepared to take on those issues and solve them?
I am. And you've asked some very broad questions, and I apologize if I don't completely answer all of them. But again, this issue of education obviously is something that we have to address, beginning with pre-K all the way to postgraduate education in America. We should provide available and affordable education. The governor will tell you that the cost of education, even in state schools and universities, is going up at an unacceptable rate. So the first challenge, immediate challenge, is to make sure that every student who qualifies is available, has a student loan available to them this fall. As you know, because of our financial difficulties, that is certainly not. It's got some difficulties, obviously, the whole